Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show's being recorded for Sunday, July 14th, 2024. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. For those who need to reach me, just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab. It's very easy from there. I think right now there's dates available in February, March, and April of 2025. So great to be with everybody here. Also, if you have just a moment, just to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. All those things really help the channel. If you watch the channel all the time, you know that we gather questions for these shows from our community board. We put out a request on Mondays, then closes down Wednesday or Thursday evening, something of that nature. I think there were over 400 questions again this week. My wife goes through them and comes up with a batch of questions that we can answer for you here real time. So right now, I think for today's show, had almost 50 questions. Looks like 49 from the roughly 400 that went out. But my wife does try to select questions that are representative of a lot of the questions that are out there. So happy to do all this. Also, a quick little housekeeping note. We always try to put hot off the presses out on our community board. We have a wonderful audience and a wonderful group of subscribers out there, and I appreciate all the passion. If you see stories that connect with the things that we talk about on these shows, we always try to put hot off the presses out there to connect the prediction from my angels and guides with the actual news story. So I know a lot of people will send our office emails. If you see those things, please highlight them, and we're happy to put them out as the hot off the press announcements on the community board. So your help is greatly appreciated. We answer literally thousands of questions across all these shows, and can't keep track of all of them. But as you see hot off the presses come out, please highlight them, send an email to info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com. And then our team will certainly get them out on the community board. So that's a quick little housekeeping note. Thank you for all your support. Without any further delay, let's get going on today's show with question number 49 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I'd like to know if the UK will go back to the European Union. Yes, my team has always predicted that kind of the Brexit experiment was going to be a bit of a debacle. And I've talked about a number of shows here that actually I do see UK going back to the EU. Absolutely. And that's going to happen really. It's already starting to happen. Discussions, but the next few years here, it's all going to take place. 48. Hello, Sterling. Why did Ron DeSantis decide to release the Epstein documents at this time when 45's name is all over them? Will anything come from 45's association with Epstein? I get from my team, it's all done kind of out of vengeance, anger here. Was why he released them. I think it was a Florida Supreme Court judge, but I'm sure there's some interconnection there with the political infrastructure in Florida. But yeah, it was my team saying it's dead out of vengeance, and something will start coming out very soon here, and actually get traction related to all the names in the document, including 45's. 47. Will any Supreme Court members leave before the election for any reason? I don't see them on their own leaving before the election. But as we get out into next year, I do see a whole lot of controversy coming up, and Congress getting very aggressive at just like the way AOC now has started some issues, some documents here in Congress to move out, impeach. I think it was Clarence Thomas and Alito. But yeah, a lot of that momentum is going to start to happen as we get out into 2025. 46. Hello, Sterling and team. AOC filed out the articles of impeachment on Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Will Mike Johnson put the articles on the floor for a vote? If so, will they be impeached? So kind of a tag along here. No, I don't see Mike Johnson bringing it to the floor for a vote. No surprise there. But I do see a lot of traction with like the impeachment efforts, certainly around Thomas, Alito, and then related to Ginny, Thomas's wife, for her involvement in the insurrection. But that's all going to really kick up in a meaningful way in the beginning of 2025. Okay, 45 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I read somewhere the RNC was going to let people carry guns into the convention. Do you see this causing any issues in the convention? I do see a lot of disturbances around the RNC, the whole GOP convention coming up this week. Is that running, I think, Monday through Thursday of this week or Monday through Wednesday? Yeah, I do see a lot of chaos. Not sure I see anybody dying, but there's a lot of like conflict, rioting, and the guns don't help. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on there this week coming up, a lot of chaos. 44, Sterling, I just want to know how President Biden gets past all of this negativity. I've discussed this before. He's a fighter, so he knows how to get up when you're knocked down. That's a wonderful quality he has. And, he understands that actually a great deal of, let's say, the news, the mass media is very far right owned. So he discounts a lot of that, which is understandable. Also understands the fallacy and a lot of the polling that's going on. So he moves past that. And he's actually moving very successfully past a lot of the calls for him to drop out by certain Democratic members. I think it's up to 20 now. So 20 of the 217 or whatever this is of individuals in Congress. But he knows how to navigate through it and how to be a fighter. He's going to push through all of this and become victorious. 43, hi Sterling and team. I was wondering if and when we will explore space and if it'd be like Star Trek with us cooperating with ETs. Yes, absolutely. Within a few decades here, very strong coordination with about a dozen different extraterrestrial species working around all areas of space, a number of different galaxies, bases on Mars, a lot of advanced technology, anti-gravity propulsion systems. Yeah, you'll see this evolve over the next few decades. And this is all part actually of the entire reset going on right now on Earth here between the year 2020 and 2050. 42, Sterling and team. I'm wondering if this media attack on President Biden will backfire. It appears that more of my acquaintances are supportive of President Biden now. In the wake of these attacks, what does your team think? Well, I mean, I do see this goes again as I see that President Biden's going to push forward very aggressively, a lot of media events. Remember, it's the voters that are going to make the decision. I see massive turnout, voter turnout in favor of democracy and women's reproductive rights and all these things going on right now. A lot of media channels are creating false narratives. So a lot of people are waking up to that fact that very simply, if you do a litmus test on all the mass media, if you look at all the negative stories, let's say on President Biden, and then compare that to the realistic or negative stories on 45, there's a great imbalance there across all publications. So yeah, it's going to have a flashback, a blowback effect where a lot of people are going to kind of see reality. Absolutely. 41, hi Sterling and team. How will the changes taking place with realtors' commissions affect the buyer, the seller, and the realtor? Well, just as I predicted a year ago when this was all being reviewed, my team predicted that this legislation was going to come down, this change in commission structure. It's going to make the value creation by everybody involved in the transaction very clear and well defined. So it's going to be a whole paradigm shift in the industry, as my team predicted. But it's going to be a good paradigm shift for the future. So everybody's really going to have to demonstrate their value creation in every transaction, and it's going to be very well defined. So it's part of kind of a metamorphosis and a full paradigm shift that's going on in a lot of industries. Real estate industry is one of them, but overall, looks like buyers, sellers, and even real estate agents are going to be happier in the long run, but it's going to shift some of the roles and responsibilities. 40, hi Sterling and team. Will there be any medical breakthroughs to reverse paralysis caused by strokes? Yes, but not until the year 2034, but that's based on like CRISPR gene editing technology and new micro or nano surgery technology is what they're telling me. 38, what do you see for the DNC, Democratic Convention? Will they be unified and stand by President Biden? Yes, I do see that in the end, they'll all unify around President Biden as the nominee and Kamala Harris. And I've talked about this a number of times on the channel, but it looks like there'll be real unity and no other candidate selected at the convention. 37, does DNA impact our life contract or reincarnation? It's all part of the selection process you make before you come down here. So it's like a punch list. When you lay out your life path blueprint, what unique soul family you're coming from, what life lessons, what medical events are you going to have. All this relates to everything in its entirety, including your DNA. So yeah, it's all related. Everything is coupled together in the universe, no accidents in the universe. We lay out a blueprint. It's kind of remarkable the level of detail, minute detail that goes into all of our life plans, including DNA. 36, can prankster spirits come through dowsing rods? If you ask if the entity is a prankster spirit, can you really trust their response? Well, any tool that you use, tarot cards, pendulums, dowsing rods in this case, all of them can bring through any type of spiritual entity. And that's why it's always important to say a quick protective prayer. Just ask you stand in supreme protective white light. And any spirits not of the light, don't come to this location, go back into the light. Very simple kind of a protective prayer, just to kind of put up a bit of a shield so you don't have a lot of crazy spirits running at you. But normally, if you say a quick protective prayer and you've worked on alignment with your team, your angels and guides, it's very easy to kind of discern if you're dealing with a trickster spirit. So not that difficult. Okay, 35 in the countdown. Sterling and team. 10 years ago, when diagnosed with two different cancers, prior to my surgery, I visited a Catholic shrine of Saint Padre Pio, is it? There I meditated and left a note for healing at the foot of his statue. Well, at the nearby chapel, a small elderly woman approached me. She said she worked there and asked the reason for my visit. When I told her, she told me to wait a moment and minutes later came back carrying a small framed relic, the actual pair of gloves the saint wore to cover the stigmata wounds on his hands. She told me to hold the relics over the side of my tumor. She then told me that my surgery would be a success and my cancer would not return. Her words proved true. I returned to the shrine, but the woman is nowhere to be found. A decade later, I'm still cancer free. Did I receive a healing that day? And do relics have that kind of healing power? Was the elderly woman an earth angel? Yes, she was an earth angel answering your call for help. Earth angels are very perceptive when they hear a call out to the universe. That's like the human coupling between the angelic realm and the earth realm. They're real people, but she heard. And the healing energy came not only through her and her angels and guides, but your angels and guides. So that's what kind of opened up that channel for healing. But you did receive a healing that day, and she was what they call an earth angel. 34, hello, Sterling and team. I've been hearing about a council of nine. Does it really exist? And if so, who are they? So the term council of nine is used throughout thousands of years for all sorts of meanings. A lot of religious meanings and a lot of fantasy meanings, fantasy, and I'll explain here. The number nine by itself kind of means it represents balance and perfection, completeness. But for example, when they use the term Council of Nine as the Devil's Council or in the Marvel universe, that's a fantasy. So no specific relationship to the Council of Nine used a lot, all sorts of definitions for it. But I know people, they get a little sidetracked with one Council of Nine. It does a lot of religious meanings and a lot of entertainment industry related meanings. So nothing specific, but the number nine does represent completion and perfection and balance. So nine is a wonderful number. And it's also part of what Nikola Tesla referred to as, very important in the universe, 369, and also the number 12, which is the next one, the sequence. So all these numbers are important in kind of universal understanding, but not a specific council. 33, blessing Sterling and team. The idea that all comes from either love or fear has me wondering about malignant narcissists and psychopaths and how they fit into the scheme of things. Science says they have no fear nor capacity for love. Those brain centers don't get activated. Are they just here to show us lessons and difficult lessons? Yes, this is all part of the yin and the yang of the universe, right? So all types of opposing forces to teach people lessons. So it's all part of the way the universe is constructed. And even people that are narcissists understand fear to an extent, but don't acknowledge it. So they understand what it's all about, but then they don't acknowledge it. Okay, 32 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. When will the wild horse roundup stop in the U.S. and extermination plan is taking place where many are profiting over their deaths? I do see new laws in the next Biden administration going into effect to curtail that effort. I read on this a while back, and it looked like new legislation was being proposed and having difficulty getting through Congress, but it looks like it's actually going to successfully put through Congress in 2025. 31 to countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. You have mentioned an extraterrestrial spacecraft under the mesa at Skinwalker Ranch. Why was it placed there? Will it ever be physically revealed in our lifetime? It was placed there as a power source for the large cone-shaped portal that exists there on that ranch. Yes, just within a few years here, it's going to be uncovered. Everybody's going to see what's there, but it is a power source. So it was essentially it was a spacecraft with a nuclear power source implanted there to support that cone-shaped portal that's in the area. My guides are saying within 2 years here, it'll all be uncovered. 30, I've always been single pretty much my whole life. I've always met many people and friends who are single. I wonder if this is more common in this generation. It seems many people are working on their own path or journey, and hence a significant other is not on their life path. I am curious if your guides can answer why some people are single and what lesson that is about what they are learning. So the process of learning how to love is unique experience to everybody, whether you're learning how to love others or love yourself. Many times people that are single are going through the stages of how to love themselves and then getting to a stage of how to love others. It's all part of a learning process, but not everybody, even though you feel like you're single, is alone. Now, what that may mean, people may define, being alone as never getting married. Sometimes on your life path, it's best friends, people around you, people you interact with. We have a lot of different soulmates in life. Soulmates come in the forms of bosses, best friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses. But yeah, it's all tied to the core lesson here of love, how you uniquely love yourself, and then how you love others. So it's all part of the life path blueprint. 29, do the colors that UFOs present when hovering and flying in our atmosphere have any particular meaning? Yes, but not in all cases. So some of them are navigation lights, so they allow navigation activity. Others identify what types of ships they are. Are they Palladian, Arcturan? What types of ships are they? And the other is that there's actually an ability to communicate through light. So it's a bit of a light language, but you think about fast-moving optical transmission of information, digital information down a fiber, fiber communication. A lot of the ships can communicate using really what's almost like light transmitting fiber technology, but high intensity beams. So the lights have different meanings on the different ships and are used for different purposes. 28, Ryan Walters, the far right Oklahoma State education chief, has put together a team to rewrite the school's history standards, including one of the key architects of Project 2025. Will he really get to do this in Oklahoma? Yes, he will rewrite the education platform, but it's going to get overturned by 2026. 27. Why are prominent Democrats like Colbert, Clooney, Rob Reiner, et cetera, calling on Biden to step back? Are the rank and file Democrats not seeing the whole picture, or is it there's some ulterior motive at play? Will everyone fall in line when the convention concludes? So yeah, everyone will fall in line when the DNC convention completes here, they're telling me. But I'm also seeing that there's some sort of fear here that and it's related to the Epstein documents, believe it or not, is that if 45 gets in office, that DOJ will be weaponized. There's a fear that, Biden can't win. So they're leading into a real fear element. And there's some other elements here. It's almost like the people we're talking about here, Clooney, Rob Reiner, whatnot, have colleagues in the industry that they're concerned about. Yeah, and I don't want to go too deep into all this for entertainment purposes only, but there's fear that Biden can win if 45 gets in, then things get weaponized in the DOJ. So that's where it's coming from. And no, I think the rank and file already understands everything that's going on within the press and the media and the fear that's being created. 26, greetings Sterling. The Mayan people around Lake, is it Adeline in Guatemala, frequently report ET ships moving in and out of the lake. What are they seeing? What is there? They're actually seeing extraterrestrial ships, but very infrequently, like maybe once a decade. So there's no ET base in that area or that lake, but they are seeing extraterrestrial ships of different species. And I'm also being told not even just like Palladian ships, but also reverse engineered US government ships. So there's a lot of reverse engineering going on within the governments around the world, especially the US government. But I'm being told very infrequent here, like maybe once or twice a decade do they have those kind of sightings. 25. Hi, Sterling. I'd like to know if and when the white buffalo will be returned to the Lakota tribe. Yeah, I know there was a rare white buffalo born in Yellowstone National Park, I think it was. Now my team's saying there's a lot of tribes involved in this. So I know whoever asked the question is asking about the Lakota tribe. My team's saying not going to really be returned to one tribe. It's like many tribes or several tribes will be the caretaker of this white buffalo. And it does mean, if I remember correctly, it means a change in Gaia, a change in the Earth's energy, predictive of good things to come. But I'm getting, for the question here, I'm not getting that the white buffalo gets returned to one tribe. It ends up being many tribes become the caretaker. 24. Will corporate media who have been relentlessly negative on President Biden, eventually pivot, at least cover the newly released Epstein document revelations pertaining to 45, deep connection to Project 2025, and its continued dangerous rhetoric and unhinged rants? Even CNN seems more pro 45 than Fox. Yeah, I mean the Epstein grand jury Florida documents that were released will the truth's going to be seen here very shortly, even in the coming week. You're going to see a lot of this happening. So there's some of the corporate media eventually pivot cover. Yeah, the corporate media, mass media will be covering the Epstein documents, mass media very effectively as we're moving through the next few weeks here. So all this truth is coming out. And it's going to go across all media outlets. 23, hello, Sterling and team. You all are a blessing. Thank you. What is the future of Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation? Will he be in the world of hurt in 2028 after Biden's second term and 45 steps into wherever that will be? I see Kevin Roberts will be a background player in the Project 2025 kind of document. Whatever the Biden administration is going to do in the next term will safeguard democracy from what's in the Project 2025 document. Remember that Project 2025 document is an evolved document, and many Republican presidents have leaned on documents like that, including President Reagan. But it looks like there'll be safeguards put in place. He'll still be around, but it won't be able to affect our democracy. Okay, 22 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Over 20 years ago, I was in Paris with my 12-year-old daughter. We were standing near our hotel when she suddenly disappeared. I searched frantically for her with my friend for an hour. Then she just reappeared in the same spot with no awareness of being elsewhere or lost. I wondered about this for years. Also, the whole time I was there, it was my first visit. I felt emotional because every place felt so familiar. Would love to know if this means anything. It appears your daughter ducked into an alleyway or a storefront or something. I realized that she was, felt she was lost. But you had many lifetimes, you had several lifetimes in that location, which is why you felt that kind of a resonance. So, actually, a bit of a spiritual experience for you, but kind of a physical experience for your daughter. And that's why I believe she didn't feel like she was lost. It felt like she was ducked into an alleyway or a storefront or something here. 21. Hi, Sterling and team. How will future human reproduction population size look worldwide? Japan and US are having fewer children compared to earlier generations. Will human population continue to decrease? No, actually, human population will increase overall over the next number of decades, not the least of which that birth rates will start to increase and longevity will increase. So, the new medical techniques coming up, the lifespan of individuals will start to increase by 20 to 30 years. So, if the average lifespan was in your 80s or 90s, you look at living well over 100, like 120. I know it sounds kind of scary, but I know the population will increase as we go forward here. 20. What do you see for Jack Smith's career in the future, and will he be able to proceed with the trial using the evidence he's collected? He'll change his legal strategy. This is all understandable. I know when I read on the immunity case, remember if you watched the channel, I was talking about the three-tier approach from the Supreme Court, meaning, here's what the president will be allowed full immunity from, here's what he won't be allowed immunity from, and then everything else in between will have to be litigated like in trials. So I do see Jack Smith redoing his strategy, and then there'll be like these mini trials before Judge Chutkin, then to determine and validate, yes, the president is not immune from these particular charges. So you can see that Jack Smith is going to kind of reconfigure his strategy, but these cases will go forward and they will result in convictions of many of the charges. 19. Hi, Sterling and team. Are you still seeing that President Biden is going to be reelected? My family and friends are so worried looking at the Project 25 is getting scary. Yes, and I did a quick pop-up video yesterday. You're welcome to find on this channel. I put that up yesterday. Yeah, absolutely, I do see President Biden winning the popular vote and the Electoral College vote and will go into a second term as a result of the election in November of 2024. By the way, Project 2025, everybody should familiarize yourself with it. It's really a plan for the destruction of democracy. And I hate to be give it such a broad brushstroke, but there's a lot of elements in there that are very hurtful and in terms of dismantling democracy. So that's going to be one of the forces and drivers that'll actually also be pushing President Biden back into a second term. 18. Hello, Sterling and team. Are the big news companies and channels starting to feel the public pulling away? Yes, absolutely. If you look at the New York Times, I think they lost millions of subscribers here recently. But yes, they actually is starting to be felt by the major news media outlets, both print media, digital media, even broadcast television and cable. 17. The petrodollar agreement with Saudi Arabia was not renewed back in June 2024. What will be the future of the USA and the petrodollar? Well, the exchange value, the petrodollar was all about what they call an exchange value. That is, exchange of oil for something equivalency in US dollars. The entire world and the petrodollar are going to start moving towards a global digital currency. So, not to worry. And by the way, my guides are saying here, my team, is that not all elements of the petrodollar agreement were dismantled or expired in June. So a little bit of an exaggeration there. Some elements did, but I see there's still an exchange, a US dollar exchange rate or value with OPEC countries. So this is kind of a gradual transition going on here, nothing to worry about, but it will eventually over the next few years here move into the a worldwide digital currency. 16. Hi, Sterling and Guides. Why did Heritage Foundation put out Project 2025 for everyone to see? What they hope to accomplish? They're trying to get the information into the hands of their supporters and believe that the major, the major voting population would not take the time to read it. So a very complex, dry document, 900 pages, but they want to get it out there for their supporters. So, if you look at the core Republican supporters or the core Democratic supporters, their votes are locked in. But the outsides, the fringe elements, swing voters, that kind of thing, they're actually trying to get that information out to swing some of those votes. It's going to backfire, as we've been talking about here. So 15. Are there any other species in the universe that go to war with each other, or are they all at a vibrational level that would not support that? The answer is very few, less than 1% of extraterrestrial species really go to war. A very small percentage. I mean, some of the reptilian factions do, but they're really kept in check by thousands of other extraterrestrial species. So, war, control aspects of, galaxies and territory and resources. Some of those go on, but not the wars to the extent you see here down here on Earth, especially things like nuclear war and annihilation. 14, hi Sterling and Teen. Thank you for all you do. We recently had to euthanize our dog after 15 wonderful years due to medical issues. 2 days later, an orb showed up in my bedroom, which I caught on an IR infrared motion capture camera. A few days later, the infrared camera picked up two orbs flying by in tandem, one larger than the other, whatever that means, and another that whizzed across the room seconds later. Was this from our dear departed pet? And if not, what were they? Yeah, actually, this is your dog, your pet with another dog. So, because another close association here looks like a family dog that you had. So, your dog that passed over, remember, animals are here from the angelic realm that teach us lessons of the heart. Your dog is doing just fine, but they're trying to give you that reassurance, that confirmation that everything's fine. And they met up with another family dog. So, congratulations. I see the two dogs. It's interesting. Yeah. The other thing I'm going to tell you is that infrared cameras are a great way to see orbs. Now, a lot of mobile phones, iPhones, Android devices, those cameras are sensitive to the infrared spectrum. So that's why you can more easily see orbs when you take pictures and look at the camera itself. So I encourage you, if sometimes you're trying to do exploration for orbs and see what's going on in your family, taking a few pictures around the house in a dark space can be very enlightening. 13, I've been seeing clips on YouTube about people owning Tesla vehicles being able to pick up spirits on the car's camera screen while driving through cemeteries. Well, I think this could be amazing. Is it true? They are not photos, but men, women, children, and animal icons. They're not photos. Here again, all cameras, including Tesla cameras, pick up the infrared spectrum. So, yeah, in many cases, you could be seeing orbs. It's very common. Orbs and spirits, our angels, guides, family members are all around us. People are starting to kind of understand that and get more of a comfort level with it. Yeah, I don't know if all the stories, my team's saying all the stories, I think some of them might be a little hyperbolic here with people describing what they're seeing around the cemetery. But picking up orbs with cameras and the infrared spectrum, very common, including Teslas. 12, when the Argentine president, Javier Milei, was elected 6 months ago, several saw that he would have a short reign. He's actually working hard to right the economic ship, taking the painful actions to curtail inflation, cut the massive government corruption that paid millions to employees who never even showed up for work. He is going in the right direction, has reduced the inflation somewhat, but with the expected social and economic cost. Can he ask your team, will he prevail and ultimately be successful in getting the country economically humming again? It does appear he's going to be successful, that a lot of changes he's making are moving away from like a central bank and moving more towards cryptocurrency and the US dollar, stabilizing the economy. So it looks like it'll take a few years here, but looks like he is going the right direction, moving away from a central bank kind of concept here. So hopefully that makes sense. But it does look like he's going to really make some great strides. 11 in the countdown. Last year, Spain and more recently France and England, the voters rejected the far right. Is this a sign the rest of the world, including the US, are starting to come to their senses? Yes, all the world's population is starting to move away from kind of far right. However, very strong elements worldwide still moving towards the far right. It's going to be a few years here as we kind of navigate through all of this, okay? 10. The secret Epstein grand jury documents were recently released, but no one in the mainstream press is talking about them. Will the press pick this up and start revealing information to the public, or is it being squashed? Yes, here again, within several weeks, you're going to see a lot of information coming out on a very regular basis across all mass media channels, covering in detail the Epstein documents that were released by the Florida grand jury judge. 9. Hi, Sterling. How does the concept of worship, as done in the Christian church, apply to the one source, the one force? Is it more about gratitude than praise? This is more about a process of individuals feeling like they're connected, but you're never not connected to the one source, the one force. So this is really, it's never required, but makes humanity, makes people feel better, like they're more connected. But remember, you're never not connected to the one source, the one force, always. We're all like drops of water in the ocean. We're all connected, all related, all of our life paths. But I understand praise we're talking about here was the question, or worship. Um, yeah, the one source, the one force, being we're all together wants everybody to live their best life. But say worship is not required. We're all one. Hopefully that makes sense. 8, love and light to you and your team. What kind of jobs do you see over the next 20 years from now on for people that do not have college educations? It seems more and more non-professional or part-time jobs are being taken over by AI or computers. Stores are using more self-checkout, and fast food is using kiosks to take people's orders. How are people able to survive? So, it's interesting. AI technology, although people think of it as a threat, is actually going to be a wonderful tool to allow others. So, there are individuals that are going to be required to implement AI, all sorts of AI technologies across, service industries, manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, logistics. There's a shifting in the skill sets that are required, but AI will complement a lot of that. So, it'll shift the types of jobs that are required. Humans will still be required to develop the technology, implement it, maintain it, watch over it. Also, a lot of green technologies coming. So, lots of green aspects in food. All these things, they won't always require college education, but they'll require different types of training. So a little bit of a shift in the workforce and the types of training, but it will not always require college education. But not to worry, this is the time right now for people to explore new types of opportunities, look at green technology, look at the way new food manufacturing is being done, lab grown food, solar technology, renewable energy, all these things. This is a shift across what's happening here. So, not to worry, but new types of education and training will be required to adapt and adopt these new technologies. 7, dear Sterling and team, thank you for all you do. I'm adopted as an adoptee. How do spirit families work with regard to your connection to your biological versus adopted family? There's absolutely no difference among your unique spiritual family, whether you're down here in your biological, your step, your adopted, whatever it is. And these questions come up all the time. I know, like 30 years ago, when I started reading a lot of this with people, it's interesting. Even adoptive families and step families versus biological. You actually also are still part of the same unique spiritual family. It's like a stepmother is very much as your mother as she was like your biological mother in a prior lifetime. It's very interesting. It all relates directly, but it all relates directly back to the lessons you came down here to learn. 6, will any female victims of the 45 Epstein documents come forward and implicate 45 as having participated in sexual molestation of underage females? If so, will this happen before the November election? For entertainment purposes only, a lot of this is coming out in the press, I think, starting already. So this is all part of, kind of a rollout of the Epstein documents that were just released. 5, if someone is deaf, has never heard a voice, what do they hear as their inner voice? They hear the same type of voice that we all hear, because what happens is when let's say a hearing person, when you hear something in the outside world, that information gets transmitted through a set of biotechnical interfaces, if you will, eardrum, inner ear, and then moves into electrical signals that go to certain centers of the brain that get understood by you as a voice. What happens is when you're dealing with the spiritual realm or angels or any other type of entity, it goes right to that center of the brain, the communication center. So they actually hear it in a way that many people that understand it, they just don't have the physical interface, if you will, that comes through like, an inner eardrum or something of that nature. But it actually moves beyond physical hearing right to the brain center. Four, how exactly do fairies watch over animals and plants? Do they intervene when necessary? Yeah, I mean, just like birth angels, there's a lot of elements, spiritual entities like fairies, like gnomes in the spiritual dimension, and they guard regions. They're very regionally active, area active, and they do help guard trees, plants. I think we're asking about animals too. Yeah, absolutely. They're an element of spiritual entity that is like a birth angel, in the same way that humanity has birth angels that keep them on the planet. Three, high sterling. If ETs have been coming to Earth since the beginning, why are humans still being abducted? Why animal mutilations? And what are crop circles? A lot of questions there. Um, so Earth is a giant laboratory, has been for millions of years, part of the evolution. That's part of, developing hybrids. Biomaterial is taken by extraterrestrials and then cultivated, sometimes into hybrid animals, hybrid Homo sapiens sapien. So it's a laboratory. And then regarding crop circles, it's real advanced messaging across many areas of the universe, trying to communicate to humanity advances in science, health, world peace, the way the universe works. Some of them are maps to the way the universe is structured. Many individuals can read crop circles or working with governments now around the world, but it's an attempt by many extraterrestrial species to convey information to get it down here to Earth. Fascinating. I love crop circles. They're a wealth of information, and each one of them a lot of times has a different type of category, again, like a map to the universe, or it's a scientific development coming, or it's how free energy or quantum physics works. They're fascinating. Two, and so number two and number one, I always take notes before the show starts. So number two, next week, are there any events coming up? Obviously, Republican GOP convention in Milwaukee, a large number of chaotic events surrounding the GOP convention. Additional fallout from the Epstein document release starting to surface in the mass media with specific new names listed. Attempts at further distancing of 45 from the Project 2025 playbook, but they won't be successful. In fact, there's a dam break now. So you can see a lot of Project 2025 direct relationship back to 45 in the campaign and the danger. Again, here I see 45 will be completely associated with mass media in the Project 2025 going forward. So that's just kind of a synopsis of a number of things coming up this week. And number one, do your guides and angels have any kind of a closing message for us? Stand in truth and be discerning with the energy and information you take into your life. This will help to guide you through all the fears and stresses in life and help you maneuver to a safer place. So hopefully that helps. A big thank you to all the subscribers out there. It was wonderful getting together with all our platinum membership on the live streams that we do on Fridays, Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone. By the way, if you want to join the platinum membership, easy, just go to our homepage on the YouTube channel. There's a join button. Also, the homepage of our website, Sterling Psychic Medium, you'll see a link to a join button there. And we have a wonderful time every Friday in a live stream. Also gives you access to hundreds of videos in the archive. Again, for those who need to reach me, just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the Book a Session tab. Again, dates available February, March, and April of 2025. And it's very easy to book from there. So, on that note, we will conclude the show being recorded today for Sunday, July 14th, 2024. As always, going to send out all of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care, and I will see you all again very soon.